Gear up as Cash Miller and a team of accomplished guests steer you on an enlightening voyage filled with valuable tips, fresh insights, and effective strategies. Welcome to Marketing Masters, the Agency Power Show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Masters and the CEO of Titan Digital. Today, we're going to be talking about building your marketing team, because a lot of businesses, if they want to build that team internally, or they're going to put together, say different, contractors and stuff, you're going to, at some point, hopefully in your business, as it grows, you're going to want to have a team of your own or a team that you're working with. I've got with me Tim Parkin, Parkin Consulting. He is a master at putting such teams together. Tim, it's great to have you on the podcast. Tell us a bit about what you do.
Thanks so much, Cash. I'm excited to be here and to have this conversation. I'm an advisor and a coach to marketing executives. And as you said, I help them build high-performance marketing teams. In today's environment with the economy and with budgets and with the competition, it's really important that you're not only doing marketing, as you know, but that you have a team who can execute correctly and efficiently and effectively. And so that's what I help my marketing clients do.
Who, to give some background for our listeners, what kind of companies do you typically work with?
Absolutely. I work with a wide range of companies in all types of industries. And typically, obviously, you have to have a team, right? If you don't have a team, I can't really help you there. Most of my companies are fairly large companies, so 250 million in revenue and up, usually about 1,000 employees total and up in terms of size. But a lot of my clients are, funded startups, medium-sized businesses who have a new team and they're not sure how to manage it, how to build it effectively. And now they're at an inflection point where they're trying to grow and scale, and they realize they need the team, they need more structure, they need more process, but they don't know how.
Yeah, you mentioned structure and process and stuff. And of course, I'm an agency owner, run one, and we, what do? We have to, we built a marketing team because we've got, like 30 employees and such. And if you don't have those structures and processes in place, when I say, and this is, it's generally for business, any business, you need those things, right. But it's really critical because with marketing teams, you have a lot of differing backgrounds and like skill sets. That people are going to have. You might have content writers, designers, developers, paid ad specialists. You got a lot of different people that have to work together. Yeah,
it's so true.
Yeah,
and I want to mention about that because there's a fallacy I think in that you're mentioning, that a lot of people think marketing is creative, and they think that you need someone who is, and that if we have the right idea, that if we just have the right design, that if we have the right brand. But what you're hitting on is so key and fundamental that it's about process. And the formula I've come up with over the years is people times process equals performance. And so I think you're absolutely right. You need to have really good people, right? You need the right people on the bus, as they say. Yep. But you have to have process. And more than most people, Cash, as an agency owner, process is everything. You live and die by process. You can have amazing people, but if you don't have really good process, your performance is going to suffer as a result.
Yeah, because like in the case of, processes, for one, if you have staff remove positions or leave the company or something, and you've got to bring in somebody new, it's those processes that get them up to speed faster and don't break things essentially, because you have, everybody, like say, you got to have them all on the same page. And that's where your processes really come in. And especially, like say, if you're, building up a marketing team, because it's kind of, you have processes within processes. So you might have certain ways designers do things or content writers, but then there's also things that they have to be able to do together, which is a different type of process, that you might have put, had to think out, and you have to understand how people work and such. It's like, there's so much, how critical it is, or is it, that if you're going to put together a team, why should you be putting together a team as a business, for one? And this goes for whether, like say, you're hiring internally, you're working with outside contractors, why should a business want to have a marketing team to begin with?
Well, marketing is essential. Let's start there. You have to do marketing. You have to get your word out to the right people. So you need to be doing marketing in some capacity, but you need a team to do it for you, whether they're internal or external, as you mentioned, because you can't do everything. And if you're the CEO or the business owner, you need a team to support you, because you can't be doing the marketing yourself forever. And if you're in marketing, you still need a team, because there's so much to do. And one of the things I love, but I also hate about marketing is that it constantly changes, right? We have all these platforms and all these channels and all these tools, and consumers change too in terms of now they want short video, and they have a shorter attention span. And so what you did 5 years ago, writing blog articles and creating in-depth content, you need to slice that up now. And so things are constantly changing, and you can't stay on top of learning all that stuff and execute all that stuff and still build and grow the business yourself. So a team is fundamental and absolutely essential.
Okay, so let's dive into how you actually build that team. The people themselves, because before you need processes, before you really get the organization part going, who should you be looking to recruit? What kind of things do business owners need to, consider? Because, I see, like, I've dealt with, of course, tons of people that have marketing backgrounds or skills and stuff over the years, whatnot, but there are different levels of skill. There's different, people that are not fits for certain jobs. You mentioned, having the right people on the bus. This is something in our agency we take really seriously, because you have the right people on the bus, but they got to be in the right seat. Yeah.
Yes.
And there's I don't remember the name of the book, but it's I think it might have been Traction, something like that. But it's like right people, right seat, right person. You could have the right person in the wrong seat.
Totally.
So start there. What are we looking at when we're recruiting? What should we be focused on?
The first step is to figure out how many seats you really need. And I think this is a mistake that a lot of people make when they build a team, is they think about the end goal and not today. And so they get too many people, or they think, we need a massive bus of people, because then I'll have a person for this and a person for that. You don't need that when you're getting started. If you have a big team already, obviously, you need more support and you need more people. But the first thing is decide, who do we really need? And that can be tough if you don't have marketing experience or the marketing skills, because we think, I need to be on TikTok. Well, are your clients really on TikTok?
Yeah.
Or we need to do a bunch of blogs. Is that really going to work? So you have to have some level of prowess or some feedback or some guidance on what is your marketing strategy, and then where are you at growth-wise, company size-wise. So who are the people we need? How many people do we need is the first step. And then you can look at, now, if we know we need 2 people, 3 people, 10 people, how do we build the right combination of people, like you said, with the right skill set to achieve our strategy and our goals and our objectives?
Well, okay, so that's interesting, because first, before you decide who you even need, look at how you get your clients.
Right.
How do you get your customers? And say, okay, well, our best avenues have been, here, here, and here.
Totally.
And then, okay, so if those are our best avenues and we want to pursue them further, this will start to give us clarity on who we're going to need because of whatever that might be. Like if it was social media, okay, I might need somebody that's design and content focused.
Yeah.
I don't, or I need a leader, like say, maybe I get all my business through social media. Well, I need an expert in social media. I need somebody that has a heavy background that shows that they can actually drive business from there. Well, that might be my lead. And then, okay, who do I need for them to, to support that person?
Right.
So,
and this is where, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, yeah, go ahead.
This is where, there are some roles that are fundamental to other roles. So for example, a designer is someone who can create good looking assets, whether it's a banner or an ad or an email or what have you, or a social media post. So a designer is a good person to have no matter what, because you're probably going to need to design things. The same thing with a writer or a copywriter. You're going to have to write words in your ads, in your emails, in your social posts, et cetera. So there are some fundamental roles like that basically every business needs at some point. Now, if you're a small business or, starting a business, you probably don't need a designer in-house. You can outsource that. There's a lot of contractor platforms for that. But if you're building an internal team, trying to grow it, these are some of the things to think about, that there are fundamental roles that apply and can support you no matter what channels or strategies or things you're pursuing. And so finding someone who has the right aesthetic as a designer and the right skill sets and uses the right tools, or a copywriter who can understand your brand and your tone and your voice, those things are really important for the team to think about in the beginning.
Yeah, that's those things are going to be really critical. And I like what you mentioned about, you could go a contractor platform or something. Like, you also need to consider how much do you need them? Because depending on, so depending on how much you're doing on different platforms and stuff, you may need a full-time leader, but you don't need necessarily full-time support, for certain positions, but you need people that are skilled. So, considering whether you're going to go some sort of a virtual marketing assistant, through a contractor platform like Upwork or something like that, you want to have permanent team members, for what you need, because it's going to be more seamless for the work you need to do, but you might not need them full time. So consider flexibility as one of the things
Absolutely. And this is where agencies come into play, like your agency, Cash Titan Digital. I think it's a really good option for many people when they're starting out and even when they're late game. In the middle, you're trying to build your team and you want to have them in-house and you want more control. But in the beginning, you can get a lot of leverage out of an agency because they have all the people, they have all the process, they've done it a million times, and they can make it cost effective for you. And at the later stage, a lot of my clients, they have many agencies because they're doing so many things that one agency couldn't support all the stuff they're doing. And so I wouldn't rule out an agency when you're beginning, because you can also learn a lot from an agency. And so if you have a small internal team and you work with an agency as well, your team will quickly learn best practices and knowledge and templates and tools that the agency is using that they can adopt. And so if you don't have the marketing prowess or experience to build a team yourself, I would really consider partnering with an agency and then kind of learning from them as you build the team, and maybe even asking them for support in that, because they might be able to help you with that.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because a lot of times, especially younger businesses and stuff, they're going to maybe hire an agency to support them anyway. So if you're looking at how do I build my team, one thing to consider, if you're going to hire an outside agency, look at their expertise. What are does it align with what you do, what you need? Because you can have agencies that do different things. I always use e-commerce as one of the best examples, or easiest one to understand. As an agency, I can build an e-commerce website. Those things we do, but we are not the ideal fit for e-commerce marketing. Okay, so if you're an e-commerce company, you need to find an agency that is aligned with what you do. They understand what you do. And then if you've got your internal people, okay, so you might have 2 or 3 people assigned to it, depending on the size of your company or something. Then if they're working closely with them, they're going to learn. They're going to pick up a lot of because they may be, in some cases, actually like the juniors, in a sense, like less experienced and whatnot. That agency brings a ton of experience. So they're going to be able to pick up a lot. And as they do, then you can start to build out your own internal department.
Yes. There are so many nuances there that you can learn from working with an agency about what are they looking at, what metrics are important to them, how do they think about the growth or the problem or what they're doing, what tools and templates are they using, what is their reporting framework, what dashboards are they sharing with us. So you can, borrow and steal a lot of that from an agency. Obviously, you're paying for it, but you can really quickly ramp up your team. Like you said, if they're junior people, they can observe and pay attention if they have the right, attitude and mindset, and adopt that internally. And then you become closer aligned to the agency, which is a really good thing as well. But then when you get big enough and you grow, you can eventually, decide how to change or evolve that relationship. So I think it's a really easy way, if you're a small business or starting out here, work with an agency and borrow and learn from them.
Yeah, that's, because like I say, agencies are going to bring a ton of experience, hopefully, like I say, from, multiple. So, from multiple people within the agency, whether it's the principal of the agency, different staff that are assigned to help manage the account and whatnot. And so if you're smart as a business owner, you're picking up things because you're, spending some time working with them.
Yes.
And then as you're building out your own team, you're making sure that they're doing it, and you're taking your time to understand. I say, so be, inquisitive, ask questions so you understand what is going on, how it's being done and whatnot. And, over time, you can, evolve that relationship if you want, to something different.
Yeah. And if you don't want to hire an agency, or if that's not an option for you right now, the other best thing I can say about who to hire for marketing is when you talk to someone about marketing, about a specific role or channel or initiative or project you're working on, the number one thing I look for is inquisitive nature, curiosity, the questions that they ask. You want to find someone who's excited and who's poking and probing and saying,
Yeah.
well, have you tried this? Or what about this? Or could we do this? Those are the types of people that, regardless of their experience, they will be the ones who will dive in, who will learn, who will try things. And that's what you want as a marketer. Nobody knows what works in marketing. Not me, not agencies, not my clients, nobody. And the reality is you need to figure it out. You have to test stuff and try stuff. So that's why you want to hire people who are so curious and so proactive, not reactive, sitting there saying, tell me what to do and I'll build the page or I'll create the ad. You want someone to say, could we try this? What if we did this? And if you hire those people, you can almost guarantee success.
Yeah, and that goes whether you're, like I say, hiring the agency or hiring internal people and stuff.
Totally.
That's what so it is a key component of whoever you hire. It needs to be inquisitive in nature, because you don't want, marketing should not be where you have just a bunch of order takers essentially that say, okay, you need me to do this. If I have to tell you all the time, that's not the right person. You need somebody that's willing to inquire, make suggestions, bring up, have ideas. You want to see enthusiasm in what they're doing, and then you've got to give them, some free reign to be able to try things, because nobody has like marketing. You can figure it out for a business, but it doesn't mean what you figured out here applies to another business. You're just using the experiences to maybe shorten the learning curve some.
Totally. I love what you said there, Cash, about giving them free reign. That's a really hard thing for people to do, but it's so important, because like you said, if you are so prescriptive, like let's do this and only this, then you're going to struggle, because you're putting the blinders on and your team can't explore and try things. And you may be so close to success or close to a really big opportunity, but you got to open it up and say, go do it. And they might fail. They might make mistakes. They might waste some of your money, but that's okay, because they'll learn and they can learn and then improve. And I call that approach test-driven marketing. I think everything should be a test. The more you can test, the smaller you can test, the faster you can test, the quicker you can figure out, as you said, what works and what doesn't. And then obviously you can do more of what works and do less of what doesn't, and achieve success a lot better, a lot faster.
Yeah, the adage, fail fast, fail forward. And that's what you want, because marketing is going to have a lot of failure to it. It's just what it is. But if you've got the right people, they're going to learn from each thing that they do. And in some cases you have success, but it's not necessarily the level that you want. It could be a small win, but not the big win you're looking for.
Right.
So if you're, willing to give your team some freedom, also they'll be more inclined to try new things, because they're not going to be shot down all the time.
Right. And I think that's an unfair expectation that we put on new hires from marketing or agencies that we work with, that we think you're an expert in this, and so you're going to know what to do and you're going to do it perfectly and it's going to work. And there's so many variables in there, the market, the economy, consumers, the competition, so it is a process. It is iterative. We have to test things, try things, learn things, reflect on them, make changes, improve, et cetera. So we can't just expect that you hire the right person or you hire the right agency and that voila, now you're growing every year constantly without any struggles or troubles.
How much does it matter to put together a culture of creativity for your team? So the people that you're bringing on, because marketers, they come in different flavors a little bit, because you can have people that are more of an analytical, sense, and, creativity is not as much there. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, so how much does it matter from, if you're building out a team, that they are really creative too? Could we think inquisitive? Okay, now how creative are they?
Yeah, it's fundamentally important. And you'd be surprised at how creative your team is and your people are until you actually talk to them and ask them. And I have an unfair advantage because I work with a lot of teams. And so I get to, meet with them and talk with them and hear their ideas. And when you get them together and when you give them the right questions and the right framework, it's magic, the ideas they come up with and the thoughts that they have, or the things they've been thinking for a while but never said because they didn't have an outlet to say it. And you're like, this is amazing. We should do this. Or the observations they've had that they've been hiding or withholding because no one ever asked them. And so I think your team is a lot more creative than you think if you have a team. And if you're building a team, you want them to be creative. You want them to be, as you said, have this free reign to, we're open to any opportunity that will help us grow and improve and achieve our objectives. Doesn't matter if we're doing it or not doing it. It doesn't matter if it means we have to stop doing something, but tell us your ideas, be open with us, and reward that. And some of my clients, I even tell them they should give out an award for the best idea that didn't work. I'll repeat that. The best
Yeah.
idea that didn't work. Because that's
Yeah.
what you want. You want to encourage really good ideas that maybe they work, maybe they don't, but it was a really good idea. And if you do that, you'll have this culture of innovation, of creativity, and of pushing the envelope of what's possible. But if you instead say, this is what we're doing, just do this, don't give us new ideas, I mean, you're going to be obsolete. You're going to be out of business. And so creativity, innovation is fundamentally important, and you have to foster it and nurture it. You can't just hope that it happens.
Yeah, it goes back to when you're actually recruiting the people and stuff, that you want people that on the surface they look creative and you can tell, and that can be in the kind of work that they do in the designs and stuff. But you really want to be looking at, asking questions about, what kind of campaigns did they put together and stuff. Yep. I had this, I talked to this guy yesterday that had the idea and I want to pitch this to some car dealerships. I really do. So you're thinking about outside the box stuff, and this is what you should be looking for in people. And I suggested to him, we were talking about different types of campaigns. My suggestion is you take a car dealer, especially if you could get like a vintage car, like classic car dealer, and you have a spokesperson and, think old TV commercials and whatnot. And you go straight the used car salesman persona to the hilt, to the extent that you dress them up in like a yellow suit and they've got the big yellow cowboy hat, and they're going totally overboard, like way overboard. You take it to extremes, but, you ever see those like TV commercials that, like, you'd see the used car lots and stuff like that. And they'd have the little flags and everything. I'm like, let's go back to that. See, take a car dealer. It could be a new car dealer and stuff. But you got this guy that's so over the top. We were talking social media and what was like can stand out on like TikTok ads and things like that. And I'm like, you put a 30-second spot, those things will grab interest. And if you're a classic car dealer, they ship all over the country. So you're trying to draw attention to the dealership and the cars, and you could put them on like this, used car, old school used car lot looking place, and you got the guy going totally overboard, and he's like, I could just, hear the voice, that he's like, totally selling in used car full mode. You got to come on down here. We got deals going all day long, that kind of thing. And he's like, I could see him going and caressing the hood. This is a beauty. It's like just totally overboard. And that's what you want with your team is creativity to bring, new ideas. So whether you go with it or not, it's the generation part of it.
Yes.
That if you're willing to give them freedom, you might not use the idea, but it's like, wow.
But it might lead to something else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. And then, because then you also, if you can get, some people, and if your team sees you're willing to listen and potentially pursue some of those ideas, you're going to have other people start to unlock what might be possible.
Absolutely.
It's kind of goes back to the no idea is a bad idea, there's no stupid question. Right.
Exactly.
Because if you don't ask the question, we don't, so that's the, to me, that's what you want. If you're going to put together creativity, you've got it. Freedom is going to be the biggest thing for them to be creative.
Yes. Dave Trott is an advertising legend, and he says often that there's thousands and thousands of messages that we see every day, and yet we remember only a handful of them. And if you're listening to this, watching this, and if you think about what's an ad you saw yesterday and you remember the ad and the product, it's hard to remember. And that's the challenge. And so I love what you said about the used car salesman. I thought of Anchorman for some reason when you were describing
and that's it. That's it. Ron Burgundy is the actual, and I hadn't thought of him initially, but then that's actually who I was talking to. He mentions, the Ron Burgundy of car salesman. Yes, that's him.
And
that's
it stands out. You have to be that provocative and that different because there's so many messages that we're seeing and hearing. And we need marketers on our team who can think like that, who understand the situation, who, if I go on my phone and I go through Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or anything, there's so many things on there. And how do you stand out? You need someone, like you said, who has the creativity, the innovation, and the understanding of the platforms to know what is it like and what does it take to be successful and to stand out. So yes, we need that innovation. We need that creativity. And we need that. I think the boldness too is what you underscored there, that we don't need small ideas. We need big ideas. You need to take big swings here.
Yeah, that's, especially in the, age of social media and stuff like that, where we have short attention spans and there's so much that we consume, there's so much media we consume and everything. You have to have, stuff that can stand out from all of that, that
Definitely.
can make a statement. And also you can build out those things as campaigns because, I say if it's not bold, just, in some way, it's just lost in the mix. And that's what a lot of companies, they don't do things that stand out.
Yes. And if you watch TV or any ads or go on social media, you'll see a bunch of stuff that's just boring and bland and generic and does not stand out.
Yeah. And so if you're putting together a team, one of the things to consider is, like I say, whether you use the ideas or not, they've got to be willing to come up with bold ideas. Not every idea is going to make sense, to do for your brand, your mission, whatever it may be. It might not be a fit, but if they're not willing to come up with those ideas to begin with, you'll never have anything.
Right. And part of this too, I think also leads to don't hire people who have experience in your industry. And by that, I mean, if you hire someone, if you're like a law firm and you hire someone who's done law firm marketing, what are they going to do? They're going to do what law firms do when they market. And you're going to have the same ideas and the same perspectives. Yeah. So it might be good to hire someone who doesn't have the experience in your industry or who has a variety of different experiences and background and knowledge, because that's what you need, frankly, is you need diversity of thought, of innovation, not just the same thing that your competitors are doing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. As an agency, we worked with different trucking companies and stuff over the years, and we don't get hired to help, get more, people needing to ship stuff. Okay. We get hired to help recruit drivers. And the problem in that industry is that every company says the exact same thing.
Yes.
More miles, steady miles, pay, whatever it may be. And that's why, to your point of not hiring people in your industry, because, if they are in your industry, they're probably going to go back to those, same generic messages that maybe at a previous company they worked at, they used and stuff. And it's just, well, this is what's done in this industry. Well, the point is to get away from what's done in this industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. Trucking that's a tough industry for recruitment.
Yeah, it really is. We also deal with trucking schools, and I totally prefer them.
Nice.
Okay,
that's a different conversation.
Yeah. So if you're you're building up your team. Now let's talk upskills. How are we to improve? How should we be approaching that so that your team is continuously upskilling? Because we don't want them to be stagnant. If they come with the skill set, but if we're not helping them improve, they're not going to want to stick around. For one, so, and you've got to keep people, especially creative people, you've got to keep them engaged. So, upskilling, a model of continuous learning, how should companies be approaching that?
I love that you mentioned this, Cash, because so many organizations forget this and they think I hire people, they're good and they're going to stay good forever. But we just said that marketing changes constantly. So you have to be constantly upskilling your people. And I call it raising the bar. And there's a lot of ways to do this. And so you can pick your poison here. But the easiest way is if you have skilled people and you have junior people, have the junior people shadow the skilled people, have them work together, have them mentor the junior people. Another way is there's lots of free education out there. And I think the best place, ironically enough, is YouTube. There's constantly new stuff posted. If you follow the right people, there's wonderful information on YouTube for free. So give your team time and point them in the right direction of people to follow on YouTube or to things to watch or things to explore and look into. Of course, there's things like, LinkedIn Learning has some courses too. There's Udemy and some other stuff as well. That's all good stuff as well. But point is, give them budget and time and space to go and learn stuff like that. Yeah. In addition, you can bring in outside people, contractors or trainers or coaches or advisors to do a workshop, do a training. You can have your internal team do a lunch and learn where someone says, here's a thing I learned recently, or here's a thing we're doing. And that helps build morale and build rapport and share those ideas. So there's a lot of ways you can do this, but I think you need a variety of them. Don't just do one of the things I said, do one this month, one next month, and build upon this. But the idea here is really important that you're giving your team the time and the space and the budget to do this, because it's a worthwhile investment. It's like putting money in your savings account or in the stocks. It's going to improve over time. You just have to keep adding to it a little by little.
Yeah. The one thing I would add to that too is that provide them structure in going about it, either whether it's, through somebody leading such an initiative and making sure that there is time. Because what I found is, if your organization, people get busy and such, and what happens is they they lean towards not doing it. They say the excuse becomes, I have, too much on my plate already. I don't have time to do this. And you can say, well, we've told you can make time. They won't actually make time, so structure matters, and having a point person to lead such initiatives matter, so that they are clearing out calendar time if necessary to say, okay, hey, we're, the whole team, we're taking, 2 hours off every week or something, but you're going to focus on your learning aspect, so something that gives them structure and also accountability for it, and say, hey, we've provided you all of these resources, and like something like YouTube is not, a structured course where it's check the box, but it is a matter of going back and being, okay, did you, we gave you 5 courses. Where are you, progress monitoring of some sort for them?
Yeah, I think the accountability, you're right, is key. And that's where the lunch and learns help. If you go and learn stuff, and then let's come back and let's share what we learned, or one at a time. But I think having accountability absolutely is essential. There's a famous story, hypothetical perhaps, of a conversation between a CEO and a CMO. And the CEO says, what if we invest in our people and they leave? What if we develop their skills more and they leave us? And the CMO says, what if we don't and they stay? And I think that's the underscore here is, if you have people, if you have a team, you have to be investing in them. You have to give them the time and the space and the resources to improve. Otherwise, you will be at a detriment. Yeah.
And the flip side of that too is, okay, if you don't invest, that's also very noticeable, so they could be, because you don't put any time into them. You don't give them the opportunities and such, so, it's, if you do, they could leave. And if you don't, they could leave. So you're not really going to, there's no better way, a better direction for that. Like say from that straight, hey, if we, whatever we do, they're going to leave. Yeah. Well, in society now, they're probably going to at some point. But if you're investing in them, others see that. They see that you're willing to invest in your staff. You're willing to invest in the learning. And you could have people that, just go on the assumption that everybody at some point will leave, but they may stick around longer than they would have otherwise, and then while they're there, you're getting the advantage of those extra skills that you've helped them learn.
Totally. It's really important.
Yeah. Let's see. So everything's evolving. So like evolving constantly, what would be, if I'm structuring a team, like say, where should I start, for businesses that are just putting everything together? What would be your top tips on, if you're going to do this, you want to focus on, these things in the beginning, and then know from a, ongoing standpoint, you need to make sure you're also doing these things.
Absolutely. Well, today, in today's environment, remote is key. Even huge companies are going remote, staying remote. And so if you're starting out now, consider remote. You don't have to build a team. You don't need people in office. You don't need people in your area. You have access to so many resources and so many people around the world, who have the right skills and can give you the right time. And as you said earlier, the right amount of time as well. Yeah. So that's the first thing, is kind of open your perspective that we don't need people in our neighborhood. We need the right people from anywhere. The second thing is figure out the 1 or 2 roles, if you're starting out here, that you really need, that you don't have the expertise in, that you're going to need long-term, and that you're doing right now. So again, that could be copywriting. If you're writing emails, or if you're making social posts, a copywriter is a great person to have. Maybe it's a designer, although I think a lot of new businesses or small businesses over-index on design. The design doesn't matter as much as you may think it does. And so I think copywriter may be a good place to start. But find the 1 or 2 roles that you really need, and then go and interview a bunch of people. Don't hire the first person you talk to. Don't hire your friend's, cousin. Go and talk to as many people as you can, and give them a little test. Even if you have to pay them, create 3 social posts for me, and pay them to do that, and see what they create. That's the best way to do it. And ask those questions that we talked about to figure out how are they, curiosity wise, do they have creative, big ideas? Those are really important. And are they excited about helping you in your business to do these things? Because they're just like, I'll do whatever you want me to do. They're not a good fit. But if they're like, oh my gosh, this is a cool opportunity, and I can't wait to help you build this, then that's the right person to hire. Yeah,
like we have a staffer that's in part of our Costa Rican team, and we hired her on a few months ago and such. And we said, we're bringing you on to be a content writer, but we want you to use ChatGPT because it needs an experienced writer to get the most out of the software.
Definitely.
And,
yep.
and the first question we asked is, do you have, experience yet using chat? And she said, yes. And I asked her, I said, how are you using it? And she said, well, one of the things I do is I have it help me write bedtime stories for my son. I was like, okay, well, that's like a really creative way to do it. Yes. But we asked, when we were hiring, what do you bring to the table in the sense of, how would you be doing it? How would you push this position? How, what you envision it becoming, things like that. And it's been a remarkable thing when you get the right person, in that seat, you've got the right seat, you've got the right person, because she's figuring out things and now coaching other staff members, on how to maximize its ability to use it, be able to use it correctly and stuff. And, so you want to look for people that can really, if given the opportunity, and she was with an agency that had like 1,000 people, and, so we hired for experience. And we were able to bring her on because she wanted opportunity. So you have to look for those kinds of things too.
Totally.
She wanted a chance to show what she could really do. And because we were willing to let her do exactly that, and run with it and stuff. Now we've got her helping in, numerous areas, and we consider her a rock star in the company.
That's amazing.
That's what you're looking for. Give people the freedom, find the right people that you think, if you give them the freedom, they will be able to run with it. And, I say, not every idea they're going to have is something you're going to necessarily go with. But, if you give them the freedom and they see that you do use ideas and you let them really, bring something, and they see things being implemented throughout your company that were their ideas, you will end up with a lot more loyalty that way. And you'll end up with people that you can trust to do their jobs and do them well. So it's, putting your team together, like I say, there's a lot that goes into it, but it can be really rewarding when you get it right.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And it still requires the management and the accountability that we talked about, but absolutely, you got to get the right people and you got to give them the freedom to excel.
Yeah. Tim, this has been a great conversation. How would people, get a hold of you, if they need to be, they want to put together a team, but they want somebody to work with to do that?
Absolutely. The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I post there 6 times a week, and I do live trainings every week. So LinkedIn, you can search my name, Tim Parkin. That's parking without the G, or on my website, timparkin.com.
Okay. This has been another great episode. I'm your host, Cash Miller, Marketing Masters and CEO of Titan Digital. We've been talking about how to build marketing teams. A lot of the advice is team building in general. So there's a lot of takeaways. Remember, I say people bring a lot to the table if you give them the freedom to use, their knowledge, their experience, their skill set, and know that, they can grow their skills over time, but you got to give them opportunities to do that as well. And your business will benefit. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you on the next episode.